Hi everybody, I hope you're having a great day. In this video, I'm going to be covering Perrikus. Now, he made his very first visible appearance in Thor, Volume 2, Issue number 4, that was released in August of 1998. He's also gone by the aliases of the God of Infinite Power and Infinite Energy. And in fact, he is an immensely powerful, what we call Dark God, that stands at least 8 feet tall, and I'd estimate that he's at least 500 to 600 pounds, if not much more, with him having completely red eyes and black hair. And let me tell you, this dude is a beast. You see, he's one of the more powerful dark gods, and these beings are basically the evil, equal antithesis of Asgardians. And Perrikus himself has vast superhuman strength, durability, stamina, and energy projection, with him showing the ability to defeat beings such as Thor, and potentially even giving Odin a hard time. Matter of fact, he even at one point exhibited strength levels that made it capable for him to use a very powerful scythe of his to cleave Mjolnir in half, which is an astounding feat that we've only seen once or twice. Perrikus has also shown the ability to somehow bestow some of his power to some other beings, such as him giving a fraction of his abilities to Adani. However, the only attribute that Perrikus has that we could see as a weakness is at one point he lost his right arm, but we'll get into that in a second. Now, generally speaking, Perrikus is an elite member of the Dark Gods, which, as I stated earlier, are a malevolent pantheon that serves as a shadowy opposite to the Asgardians. They hail from a floating city world known as Narcisson, which itself is a very interesting name. Perrikus's initial encounter with Asgardians occurred when Lonkar, who was an Asgardian scout, discovered Narcisson. During this expedition, he came into conflict and took out Saran, who was Perrikus's wife. And this act ignited Perrikus's vendetta against Asgard, the mourning husband actually letting the Asgardian escape so that he could track where he came from. Perrikus would then very quickly organize an assault by the Dark Gods against Asgard. These dark beings would overpower Asgardian defenses and actually capture Odin. However, towards the conclusion of this story, a young Thor would intervene and revitalize and encourage his father Odin, leading to the Dark Gods' defeat and their banishment to a remote corner of the universe. And despite Odin subsequently erasing the traumatic memory of this from all the Asgardians, the Dark Gods would eventually return, catching the Asgardians off guard and reclaiming their world. This time, they would subject Odin to severe torture, and this is also when Perrikus demonstrated his immense strength by shattering Thor's enchanted hammer, Mjolnir. Yet, despite this, Thor regrouped, assembled an army, and with assets like the Destroyer and allies like Hercules, he would launch a counterattack. The heroes' combined efforts would lead to the liberation of Asgard and the banishment of the Dark Gods once again. Now, later, Zarko, the Tomorrow Man, seeking to remove Asgard from Earth, enlisted Perrikus and Adva from the time stream. In exchange for restoring Asgard to its original realm, Zarko promised Perrikus dominion over it. Therefore, we'd see Perrikus launch an immense attack, incapacitating Heimdall and confronting Thor once again. With Adva's assistance, Perrikus temporarily gained the upper hand. However, Thor wielding the Executioner's Axe, aka the Blood Axe, succumbing briefly to its dark influence, would sever Perrikus's right arm. So being faced with death, Perrikus revealed Zarko's involvement and then retreated. Now, more recently, we'd see Perrikus appear in the Phoenix series, where he was imprisoned in the Kiln 2, which was a facility within the Ton 618 black hole. During a crisis, Jean Grey, as Phoenix, prioritized stabilizing the black hole over preventing Perrikus's escape. And from there, we'd see Perrikus's escape ship crash land on a planet inhabited by the Universal Church of Truth followers. There, we'd see him coldly take out a man who was Adani's father, and he would actually take Adani under his wing, bestowing upon her a fraction of his power. This part really gives me strong MCU Thanos and Gamora vibes. We'd eventually see Perrikus, believing that Phoenix was a universal threat, ally with Gladiator of the Imperial Guard to control her. they would actually manipulate Gorr the God Butcher into taking out the Phoenix, ironically aiming for Jean Grey's resurrection. However, unfortunately for Gorr, it's more than a notion to take out Phoenix. And after Jean resurrected, she would transform Gorr into a star, which further solidified Gladiator and the Galactic Council's resolve to let Perrikus do whatever he wanted to stop Phoenix. So this shifty dark god would then appoint Thanos as the leader of the council. Of course, this would lead to a massive battle between Jean and Thanos, during which Adani was able to absorb a small portion of the Phoenix Force. Perrikus would then compel Adani to resurrect the Dark Gods, who would then be collectively determined to reshape the universe in their vision. From there, we'd see Adani be forced to then bond with the Shadow Realm, which gave her even more powerful reality-altering powers. And after a massive battle between the now empowered Adani and Phoenix, Adani would see the light, and everything would culminate in a final massive confrontation between Perrikus and the Phoenix, with Perrikus seemingly being destroyed and consumed by the Phoenix's flames. But I guess we'll see in the future if he really stays gone. Now, for his massive powers and ability and his brief influence on the Marvel Universe, for my 1 to 10 rating, I'll give Perrikus the Dark God a rating of 9, which is an epic rating. I hope everyone enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you next time. Be sure to like and subscribe to The New Sage.